So I'm going to walk you through this as a use case for POV, mountain biking and skiing, and have it on a pole once in a while, stand-up paddleboarding, those types of things. That's what I use it for. Just was released, but I was part of the beta testing program since March, which is awesome. Initially, physically, how is it? Physically, I love it. It's a little heavier than the Max. It's a little tiny bit bigger than the Max, about the same thickness. And when it's on the helmet, whether it's skiing or mountain biking on the chin mount here, or the chest mount, it feels very, very similar to the Max, which means it's hardly noticeable. It feels a little bit more weight than a regular GoPro, but that doesn't bother me at all. I could see if you're like Jackson Goldstone or one of the UCI racers, I could see that extra weight being annoying. But for me personally, it feels just like the Max, which is all I was asking for, and really appreciate it. It's light years better than any of the Insta360s, whether it's the X3, X4, or X5. They seem to be just getting bigger and longer, and that is incredibly annoying when you're using it as a POV mount. So physically, the size and weight, huge fan, love it. The other thing is the lenses on this are much bigger. It's got a 1-inch sensor, which is massive and amazing for getting the best quality, of course, but it's got big lenses, which are always worrisome for scratching. Insta360s come out with something where they'll actually allow you to replace the lenses on like an X5. So you can order a lens replacement kit and do that. Other models, including the Max and the X3 and the X4, have little protective things on it. But I find those protective little covers take away from the quality too much. Even if they're brand new, never touched, never scratched, you can get a little moisture trapped in there, can fog up on the right day. It reflects the light a little differently, and it's not that high quality. It's just little plastic covers that are susceptible to scratching much more easily, getting that moisture inside. And I'd rather just leave the perfect high quality glass that these cameras use. So for the quality of the glass on it, incredible, easy to clean. Yes, it doesn't have replaceable lenses that I'm aware of, and that might be a deal breaker for somebody, but for me, I'll be honest with you, I've had the GoPro Max for 6.5 years. I've used it for mountain biking, for skiing. It's come on every cat ski trip I've gone on. It's come on big mountain biking days where it's tossed around a backpack. And really, as long as you're putting the lens covers on or putting it in one of these little soft pouches and being conscious about where you're putting it, it's fine. I have the GoPro Max for 6.5 years, using it multiple times a week in adventure sports, on helmets, and being tossed in and out of pockets. The lenses are still pristine. So if you're somebody that's breaking lenses, then I would just make sure you get the DJI Care package or whatever it is that you pay a little extra for. I know the drones have it. I'm sure this does too. That's what I would recommend for if you're stressing about interchangeable lenses. So the other thing about the camera is, in order to mount it to kind of the action camera mounts, the GoPro mounts, they have this little magnetic thing. The magnet, whatever, I don't really care. It's kind of funny because if you try and load it the wrong way, it has that negative polarization and it actually won't want you to do it. You can force it in there, but I wouldn't recommend it. So the magnet kind of helps, but the other thing about the magnet is it feels like it's attached, so you really have to make sure you hear those 2 clicks. Once it's on, it's a little bit longer than the GoPro Max because the GoPro Max has those little mounts built into the bottom of the camera, which I love, but I'm sure they got copyright on that or trademark or whatever it's called on that. And so this doesn't have that, but when I put them side by side, this has about an extra 1/2 inch. And like I said earlier, if you have this as a POV on your chin mount or on a helmet or a chest mount for your POV footage, this extra 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch isn't that big of a deal. So it's not a deal breaker at all. This is 100% still my go-to now. So that's pretty much it for the physical camera. It's a great camera. Love it. Love the size. That's the biggest thing for me. Picture quality has been amazing in the X3, X4, and X5. Even the GoPro Max is very manageable picture quality. Where this and the X5 and the X4 really shine is in days like today where you have bluebird sky, you have cloudy bits, you have going into trees, you have really dark shadows, and you have really blown out highlights or potential for blown out highlights. That's where like the 1-inch sensor and the better quality come into place. Shooting on this is a much better viewing experience than the GoPro Max. There are ways around that with the Max, but you're always going to be compensating because your dynamic range is going to be a much smaller window. So you're going to be easily getting into blown out highlights and into crushed blacks, where the X4 and the X5 are way out here, and this one's right up there with them. So you have this big dynamic range, you have the HDR kind of modes that allow you to see in the dark spots and in the places that would be blown out by the GoPro Max. So that's good. So what's my software experience with this? Again, I'm just using this as a POV camera. It's an upgrade from my GoPro Max. And I've also used the X4s, X3s quite a bit. And with the software on each of them, I really like GoPro software. They haven't changed it in a long time, and it doesn't have the bells and whistles that like the Insta360 has, but it's a very simple program that I can go in, set the frame, be confident that that frame is going to carry out through the entire POV shot, export it, color grade it. It's nice and easy, nice and simple. And it keeps that frame, no matter if you're moving your helmet or whatever, it keeps it nice and smooth, holds that frame so that when you're going down and turning through mountain biking trails, it's just looking as if it was a GoPro Hero camera at the trail you're trying to get onto. Insta360 has been notoriously terrible for this. I don't know if they fixed it. If they did, it would be very recent. But when you use the Insta360 program, you have to use keyframes as you're turning, and I cannot tell you how annoying that is. So when I had the beta version of this camera, when I first got the software program, it did the same thing as the Insta360, but they fixed it almost immediately, and that was huge for me because I was already a huge fan of the size of this and the physical body and the quality of the video, but that was honestly a deal breaker for me if they couldn't fix it, but they did. So now when you go in and edit this footage, you can lock onto the frame you want, and it'll carry all the way through your mountain biking session with that POV locked on. And it is awesome. So this is now 100% my go-to camera for POV footage, just for the fact that it's the right size, it's got incredible hardware, and the software is easy to use, and DJI seems to be on top of updates and making it better and better.